Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first video of mine you are seeing, then welcome. I am so excited for today's video because this will be my first time trying Oden's eye with their Hey Reindeer eyeshadow palette. This palette is so stunning. Just look at these pretty shades. Oh my gosh. And then of course the packaging is everything. I know this brand had two other holiday palettes that they released last year, and from what I've seen others say, those sold out pretty fast, but they did bring those two back this year, as well as two new ones, this one and another one that had a snowman. I only picked up this one. I think all of them were beautiful, but of course I had to have the one with the reindeer. I love reindeer, I love deer, they're my favorite animal ever, so I knew I had to have this palette, and I'm so excited to be trying this brand for the first time. I will be including some live swatches of this palette, as well as showing the colors outside in natural lighting, and 4 different looks, because I will be using every single shade in this palette, and what I'm going to do is just go column by column, so that way I know I'll be using every single shade in the palette. So if all of that sounds interesting, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we have the Oden's Eye Hey Reindeer palette. Oh, I knew I had to have this one. These beautiful deer. I love deer so very much. They're my favorite animals, so I just knew. I'm going to have to turn it to the side here. This is where I'm at. But look at these beautiful shades. I mean, it's just so stunning. I cannot wait to put this all over my eyes. All right, I'm gonna have to swatch on my other arm since there's a little bit more shades here. Okay, I don't know if I can get a good pinky swatch or not. If not, then I can always redo it. Oh wow, look at that shade. How it shifts. Ooh, that's pretty. And don't worry, I'll be showing swatches of this palette outside in natural lighting too, so you can see it like that as well. Alright, let's do this next row here. It's really hard to do this with my left hand. I'm not used to doing that. I might could have made them fit, but I'll just do it like this. It's a real soft shade. That's pretty. Alright, we got the next row. It's so hard to do my pinky. Oh, that's more like a topper shade, okay. Oh, wow. Beautiful. All right, we got the last row here. I know that the swatches would be a lot better if I was using my other hand, because this is not my dominant hand, but you can at least see the colors. Wow. Oh, well, I got that on the other one, but you can still see it. And here is the entire palette swatched out. Look at those beautiful shimmer shades. They are gorgeous. Oh, I'm so excited. Now, I'm just going to insert a clip right here of me showing you how these shades look on the outside. Well, unfortunately, it's been really cloudy here lately. There has not been a lot of sun, so I'm hoping that you can still see enough to see how these shades would look in natural lighting. Okay, I'm going to start with the shade Reindeer on a detail crease brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to start running that in my crease. I just picked up a real small amount. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back in with some more, definitely. I believe this brush I'm using, unfortunately, has been discontinued from e.l.f., but any really small, like, you know, more fluffier crease brush will do. You don't have to use the same brushes I'm using. Whichever ones work best for your eye shape. Okay, I'm keep going back in and building that shade up. That shade's not as pigmented as I was thinking it was gonna be. Which I don't mind. I don't mind building up my eyeshadows. I'd rather actually start with a smaller amount. Of course, it's probably also this brush isn't picking up a lot either because it's really tiny. Okay, then I'm going to take the shade Mistletoe on an eyeshadow C brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to stamp that on this outer corner. Really pressing that into that crease. And then I'm going back in with that little detail crease brush and just start working around. And I did get a little messy on this outer part, but that's okay. I'll clean that up later with some concealer. I'm just trying to get the eye look completed, and then we'll do the cleanup. Okay, I'm going to take the shade Christmas Ham on a concealer brush from e.l.f. and I will be spraying my brush with some setting spray. This shade looks a little more on the chunky side. I haven't swatched this palette yet as I'm doing this look right here, so I don't know what the formula looks like swatched out, so I'm just going in with these shades pretty much blindly. And that looks really sheer, like it's mostly just like a topper shade. See if I can take a little bit on my finger. Ooh, it's chunking up. It's like chunked up right there. Oh. There we go. Really pretty, but it is kind of on the chunkier side. So you might want to make sure you do your eyes first when you're using a shade like that. Very pretty. I love the pink in there. That's pretty. Okay, I'm just going to do a lash and some mascara, and I'll be right back to do the lower lash line. Okay, this lash right here is from Ioni. These are the halfling lashes in Lite, Foxy, Crisscross half lash, and they just look like that. Okay, I'm going to go in with the shade Bells on a small angled brush from e.l.f. and I will be spraying my brush with some setting spray. And I'm going to start running that on my lower lash line. I noticed the shades in this first column, they look really sparkly, a little more chunky. So that's why I figured spraying them with some setting spray would keep them more intact. And here is look number 1, all done. I'm going to go in with the shade Cider on an eye crease brush from e.l.f. I'm going to do a different shape on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start okay, that might be a little too light to do what well, no, there it goes. It's building up. There we go. It might be a little too light to do what I had wanted to do, but we'll try it anyway. Just going to stamp that on just this outer half of my crease and stamp it on the inner half of the crease. I'm not blending yet, just stamping it in because this shade is really, it's a blue in the pan, but it goes on me kind of like a white shade with a little bit of blue. We're not blending yet, and we're going to leave that space right there in the center. This might not work with this shade because this shade's not, it's not the shade I thought it was going to be, so it might not work with what I had planned, but we're going to try it anyway, and if not, I can always remove it and start over. All right, and then once we have that pat in, I'm going to just go around the edges of that shade really lightly. Being very careful because this might be a shade that could be easily blended away, so I'm going to just be Careful blending that out. I might not can blend as much as I usually do because I want to make sure you can see that shade. I'm going to go in with the shade Fireplace on a small precision brush from e.l.f. And that brush just looks like that right there. It's really tiny. And I'm going to start placing that on this outer corner, and then I'm going to place it on the inner corner as well. I know this is a really teeny brush, but I'm trying to keep it really precise. I don't want to go in the center part right here. I want to keep that as blank as possible, so that's why I wanted to use this really small brush. Okay, that orange shade is beautiful. And then same thing, pack it on this side. Gosh, that orange is beautiful. That's stunning. Of course, all the shades so far have been really stunning. No issues yet. I'm going to go back in with that shade Cider, and I'm going to really press that right in the crease where that orange shade meets this shade. This is not going to be like a really super blended out type of look. I'm just having fun. I'm just trying something different. So it's not going to be maybe as clean as like the blend over here is, but I'm just trying something fun. Then I'm going to take the shade Sleigh on a concealer brush from e.l.f. and I will be spraying my brush with some setting spray. And we're going to place that right in this center. And also in that little empty space that I left in the crease. Just gonna go in and tap around the edges. Just to kind of blend that gold shade in with that orange. Okay, and then I'm just going to do some mascara and put that same lash that I have over here on this side, and I'll be right back to do the lower lash line. Okay, I'm going to go in with the shade Candy Canes on a small angled brush from e.l.f. and I will be spraying my brush with some setting spray. And I'm going to drag that all across this lower lash line. And here is look number 2, all done. I'm going to start with the shade Ivy on a blending brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to start running that into my crease. This might be a shade I might have to stamp in and then blend out, but I can always pick up some more as I go. Also, in the look I'm doing today, I'm using a different palette's mirror, so I will hopefully be putting the palette all up in the screen like I did for look number 2. I didn't realize that until after I got into editing that the palette kept coming into frame, so I'm sorry about that. Alright, I picked up a little bit more. I'm going to stamp that into my crease. If you have like a really light base, like maybe like a white, this shade probably would show up even better. I don't currently have anything like that. I really need to pick up a white base that I can use for shades that are more on the lighter side or a little more pastel looking. Okay, then I'm going to pick up the shade Greetings on an eyeshadow C brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to stamp this on this outer portion of my lid. And I don't know if I mentioned it in the looks yesterday, but the mattes do have a little bit of kick up when you put your brush in the pan. That doesn't bother me, but I always like to mention it. And you can totally build that shade up even more, but I think I'm going to keep it kind of on the softer side. But you can build it up if you'd like. Just kind of pressing it into that crease. And I'm going back in with that blending brush, and I picked up a little bit more of that first shade I used, Ivy. I'm just going to start going around the edges of this shade. I'm going to pick up the shade Wreath on a concealer brush from e.l.f. and I will be spraying my brush with some setting spray. This shade's more, it looks more like a topper, so I thought spraying it with a brush would help keep it together more for my lid. And of course, if you probably pick these up with your finger, you would get even more color payoff, but it's hard to get into that inner corner with these more pointier nails. so I'm just going to be using a brush. Okay, so I'm just going to do some mascara and a lash, and I'll be right back to do the lower lash line. Okay, I decided just to do mascara, so what I'm wearing is the Too Faced Better Than Sex, the Foreplay Mascara Primer, and then the One Size Fantasize Mascara. I'm going to take the shade Presence on a small angled brush from e.l.f., and I will be spraying my brush with some setting spray. And we're going to take that shade on my lower lash line. That shade is really pigmented, really beautiful and sparkly. And here is look number 3, all done. Okay, I'm going to go in with the shade Holly on a blending brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to start running that right into my crease. And build that shade up some, and then just start pressing it, like really pressing it into that crease to get most of that pigment down first. And then go back in and blend. Going to take the shade Snow Wish on an eyeshadow C brush from e.l.f. I just picked up a really small amount of that, and then I'm just going to press it on this outer corner. Picked up a bit more of that shade Holly, just to take it right in here in this portion of my crease. I'm going to take the shade Eggnog on a concealer brush from e.l.f. and I'll be spraying that brush with some setting spray. And put that on the beginning portion of my lid. I wanted to put this shade on a larger part of my eye because I want to be able to see that shift, because this is a shifty shade. And you can see it, how it shifts. It's really pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to put some mascara on this eye, and I'll be right back to do my lower lash line. I'm going to take the shade Christmas Stocking on a small angled brush from e.l.f. and I'll be spraying my brush with some setting spray. And I'm just going to place that all along my lower lash line. Wow, that's a pretty shade. And here is look number 4. And there you have all 4 looks using this palette. I really love this eyeshadow palette. I think these are some really beautiful colors. I like that this is a little bit, you know, kind of different. I know that there are some traditional shades that you might find during the holiday times, like, you know, shades like that or the golds, but I love that there's like a random pop of orange in here. I just think that just adds even more to this palette. I kind of wish now I had purchased the other 3 because this is such a beautiful palette, but I'm happy with this one. This was definitely the one I wanted the most because of this beautiful artwork, but I think the quality is amazing. I'm so sad that it took me this long to try Oden's Eye. I know that I see all over like Instagram and of course here on YouTube as well that their palettes are really amazing, excellent quality, and I definitely agree. I don't think anyone would be disappointed at all if they picked up this palette. It's simply beautiful. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I hope you will please consider leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing if you haven't already, and please make sure to follow me over on Instagram at Jessica Dearly, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!